We're going to talk about part 2 of your percent change stock market project. I'm going to pull up the directions and we'll take a look at what we need to do. Part 2 assumes that you've already completed part 1, which asks you to find stock tickers and the price of a share for 5 stocks listed here on January 5th, 2015 and August 10th, 2015. You were then asked to find the percent change of each stock using a formula in a spreadsheet. If you remember, this was our practice spreadsheet for learning how to do that. What we're going to do now is take a look at the part 2 directions. You're going to create another sheet where you will be able to buy 10 shares of each stock at each price and then calculate the percent change of your entire portfolio. A portfolio is all of the shares of every stock you own together. Right now you have only purchased one share, which is one tiny little piece of each stock. Let's take a look at how we would do that. What I'm going to do is pull up some sample answers. Let's pretend that this was my work for part 1. I am going to press the Shift key, hold, and then select what I had created for part 1. Now yours may look a little different. Then I'm going to press Control-C to copy. Notice down here at the bottom of my screen, I am on sheet 1. I'm going to rename this to say part 1. What I want to do is work with sheet 2. Now I've already started that. Let's pretend that I hadn't. I can click the plus sign to add a new sheet. I'm going to rename this sheet part 2 and press enter. So think of this like a workbook. You are adding new pages called sheets here because this is a spreadsheet, and on those pages you can put different information. This saves you from having to create an entirely new document. Now that I'm here, I can just click one time, not double click, but just click once and press Control-V to paste. Look at what happened. My formatting is different than it was. So remember to widen columns. We click on the little line in between each letter and move them over. This is already looking a little bit better. Might take just a few minutes, but it's great practice. So click, hold, move over. Okay, we're just about there. Couple formatting things though. I noticed that my column E does not look like it is formatted the same way as the others. I want those lines and borders to be around each of these cells. So I can do a few things. I can click once on cell E1, press the Shift key again, and then click to the bottom. Or I can click, hold, and drag without the Shift key as well. If I just click letter E, then my formatting will apply all the way down, and I don't want that. Okay, once I've selected what cells I want to format, I'm going to go up to borders, and then for this particular assignment, I want all borders. So now that looks a little bit better. Okay, let's go back to our directions. We have copied and pasted our information, but now what we need to do is figure out how many shares we would need to buy to calculate our portfolio. The directions say 10. So we have to think, what could we do using a formula to calculate the percentage of 10 shares? Right now, my amounts are only for 1. Well, first we need to add some new columns. We're going to insert left, and I right-clicked on the letter, insert one left, and we're also going to do that here. Right-click, insert one left. So remember, anytime you want to add or delete rows or columns, you simply right-click on either the number or the letter, and you'll be able to insert, delete rows or columns, even hide them. So maybe you don't need information at that time. You can hide it and come back to it later. Okay, I'm going to type in amount of 10 shares on 1/5/2015. Okay, so this way, this column now will eventually hold the information that tells me how much 10 shares of these stocks would be on January 5th, 2015. Here, I'm going to do the same thing for the August 10th price. And I will keep it consistent in terms of how I wrote it first time. I don't need to go back to the website for information because I already have everything I need. I do notice, though, in looking at what I just typed, that I cannot see the full amount of writing that I just did. So I need to right-click here, that's one way, or go up to Format and Text Wrapping. We want to click on Wrap. Now you could do that for an entire column. You could select it, Format, Text Wrapping, and then Wrap. Okay, I need a formula now. I need to figure out how much it would cost to buy 10 shares of Google if the date were January 5th, 2015. One share cost $513.87 on that day. I'm going to start with an equal sign. And now what I'm going to do, very simply, is click the cell and then an asterisk, because an asterisk stands for multiplication in the world of spreadsheets. And I need to multiply it by 10 because I need to figure out how much 10 shares would cost. I press enter and there we go. So could you do this either mentally through mental multiplication? Sure. Could you do this with a calculator? Absolutely. But here's the nice thing. Now that I have used that formula one time, of course I could try it again. So equal sign, cell, asterisk, 10. Or I can click up here and then take this little square, click and drag it all the way down. That will fill in the amount for me. So I can do the same thing here. One share of Google cost $633.73 on August 10th, 2015. I need to find out how much that cost if I were to buy 10 shares. I do the same thing as I did before. Multiply by 10, press enter. Oh, but now I have a little bit of a problem. It looks like my formatting is off. So to change that, I need to make this currency or in dollars. There we go. Again, and now click, and that will give me the amount of 10 shares. Let's go back to our directions. We have calculated the value of our stocks at the January 5th and the August 10th price. The next thing that we need to do is calculate the percent change of the entire portfolio. That's our last bit of work that we need to do. So we already have our percent change from part 1. You can see if this would still be true. In order to do this, we need to sum or add up the total value of our portfolio on January 5th and August 10th. So let's go ahead and do that. Underneath column D, where I have the amount of 10 shares, I'm going to add all of this up together. Now, if you wanted to do a quick calculation, you can select all the cells, and if you look down at the bottom, that will tell you. But we want to actually enter this, and we're going to do it using a formula. So very simply, we're going to use our equal sign, then type the word sum, and from here, we are going to press enter, click on our cells. We want to click on all of them. Press our parentheses again, and we should get the same total amount that we did when I originally clicked on them, and we do. Now, if you wanted to get fancy, you could write the word total, and then you could right align it. Okay. Let's try that down here. If I just click on the cells, it's going to tell me what the sum is. So it looks like, if I were estimating, that my portfolio went up between January and August, which means that if this were real, I would have made money. Now, of course, it depends on which exact stocks you chose. But let's go ahead and use our formulas for finding out the sum of these different stocks. So equal sign, sum, parentheses. Click on the first cell, press Shift, go all the way down, ending parentheses, and enter. Okay, so now I think this is probably a better way to. And if you don't want to have that writing, that's fine as well, as long as you know what this number is. Okay, we need to calculate the percent change for that portfolio. So let's go ahead and do that. I am going to label this one, and I'm going to label this total percent change. Let's say portfolio, let's call this percent change of portfolio. Okay, down here, to keep it consistent with where my other information is, I need to calculate the percent change. So if we remember our formula to do this from part 1, all we need to do is apply it again. So here it is. So we need to find the current price of the portfolio first. So let's go ahead and do that. So equal sign, we need to group. Here's my current price. We're going to subtract it from the previous price, our parentheses, and then divide it by the previous price. And remember, of course, we need to make this a percent. So now I can see that the total change in my portfolio between January 5th, 2015 and August 10th, 2015 is 17.37%, which means that I had a gain of almost 20%, which is great. Hopefully that would work in real life too. Okay, now it's your turn to try, and I hope that you have a great time working on your own information.